Hey guys, so for this Wednesday video, Kevin and I were talking and we realized that we've been blogging for a little while and we haven't really talked about who we are yet. There's been a lot of footage of us going places and doing things and shots of Brendan looking at animals and things like that, but we haven't really discussed who we are as people. So for this Wednesday video, I'm just doing a little sit down and I'm going to tell a little bit about myself and answer a few random questions that'll help you get to know me a little bit better. I am a television producer here in Los Angeles, and I've worked on the show The Amazing Race for a very long time. We just finished season 29, and I started there in season 4. We actually at this point don't know if we're going to get picked up for another season or not, so I'm in the process of looking for other jobs on other shows. I'm also a writer. I've written 3 young adult novels. As of right now, all 3 are unpublished, but my latest one did land me an agent. I signed with my literary agent a few months ago. And so that book, which is a historical young adult novel, it's a retelling of the Joan of Arc story. And my agent's shopping that around to all the major publishers right as we speak. I just do a lot of writing in my spare time now, starting my next book. And yeah, it's just what I do aside from producing television, is write young adult novels. I'm going to answer just a few random questions about myself now, just to sort of give you an idea of who I am. The first question: what sports did you play as a kid? I did all kinds of sports as a kid. I'm actually pretty athletic, I had a hard time finding something that I really loved to do. I did swimming for a little while. I did gymnastics for a little while. I did soccer for a little while. Dance isn't a sport. I guess it's a art, not a sport, but I did dance for a little while. But the 2 things that I really love that I ended up doing for a long period of time are horseback riding and running track. I started riding horses when I was about 8. I got into horses. I was playing with little horse toys and things like that, and my parents thought, well, let's go get on a real horse. So I rode from the time I was 8 through till I left for college. And then track as well. I started running track in high school, short distance. My best event was the 55 meters indoors. The gun goes off and 7 seconds later it's over, and that's my ideal race. I was also a jumper. I did long jump and triple jump, which I was okay at. That I was pretty good. I went to all the I qualified for districts and regionals, and I qualified for states in the 55. And I went to all the invitational meets, and it was a really good time. I grew up in DC, so we had invitationals in Southern Virginia, in Delaware. Went to the Penn Relays in Philadelphia, and we'd get on a bus at 4 o'clock on Saturday morning and be gone and get back at 4 o'clock on Sunday morning, and just be all day long at these invitational meets, which was really, really fun. But anyway, so that's track and horseback riding were the 2 things that I was really into, that I stuck with for a long time as a kid. Best and worst subjects in school. Well, my best subjects were obviously English. I'm a writer now, so that was definitely one of my strengths. English and history. I am fascinated with history. I love historical movies and books and watching things on the History Channel and all that stuff. I'm just a total geek about history. So English and history. Worst subjects, I was never bad at math per se, but it definitely wasn't one of my strengths. It's one of those classes you just kind of just go and get through. And science as well. Aside from earth science, like geology and rocks and land formations and things like that, I really enjoyed. But the rest of science, chemistry and physics and biology and all that, was just not a huge fan of that. And Spanish as well was always one of my weaker subjects. Although ever since being married to Kevin, I was attempting to learn Japanese so I could talk with his family a little bit better. And after trying to learn Japanese, looking back and looking at Spanish, I thought, how did I ever have trouble with Spanish? It's so easy compared to Japanese. But back in high school, yeah, Spanish wasn't one of my strongest subjects. Favorite book? I've read a lot of books, but I think definitely my absolute favorite is The House of Mirth by Edith Wharton. It's one of her lesser known books. She won the Pulitzer Prize for The Age of Innocence, but I found The House of Mirth is just absolutely fascinating. I mean, in a nutshell, it's just about this woman in high society New York around the turn of the century who, through a series of mistakes on her part, and then just the nature of the sort of unforgiving, brutal nature of the society she lives in, she has this sort of fall from grace, and she's just sort of descends through the ranks of society. And watching that descent and really seeing how all these different ranks of society, how they differ from one another in very subtle, nuanced ways was just absolutely fascinating for me. Again, I'm a history buff, so all of the little historical details were just fantastic. Would you rather be attacked by a bear or a swarm of bees? And I will definitively say bees, because I've seen The Revenant and I saw that bear scene, and I do not want that to happen to me. Also, I have no fear of bees whatsoever. I've never actually been stung by a bee, so I don't know if I'm not afraid of bees because I've never been stung, or I've never been stung because I'm not afraid. You know, if a bee flies around somebody and they freak out and they're swatting at it and running away, that freaks the bee out and you're more likely to get stung. No fear of bees whatsoever, so I think I would definitely just face down that swarm of bees rather than get mauled by a bear. And finally, the last question, what occupation did you want to have when you were a kid? And I wanted to be a jockey, a horse racing jockey, because I rode horses all the time, and I figured galloping on a horse for a living, you know, at 40 miles an hour around a track seemed like a really, really cool thing to do and get paid for. By the time I was 12, I was a little too big, too tall, so that dream vanished pretty quickly. But yeah, when I was in elementary school, that was my dream job. So that's just a little bit about me and what I do and what I like. If you have any specific questions, just put them in the comments and I will do my best to answer them. Thanks for watching.